Tempest Trials is pretty cool. Not only do you get orbs, which is always nice of course, but you also get a brand new event exclusive character if you reach a certain score. Well, brand new outside of all the times Masked Marth returned anyway, but regardless, some of these characters are actually pretty good, but which one is the best? Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want, I guess, because we're going to be counting down the top 5 Tempest Trials units and Fire Emblem heroes. Also, I'm going to be running a giveaway if any of you want to enter, which is recommended since it's completely free and your country of residence doesn't matter either. That being said, there's a link in the video description, so give it a shot. I believe I did $20 last time, but for this video I'll bump it up to $50. Now with all that out the way, let's get into the top 5 list.
My wyvern is lovely, is she not?
Starting things off with the Masked Rider Jerome. He released on March 15, 2018 as a reward for reaching a certain score in the Invisible Ties Tempest Trials event. If you take a look at his stats, he does pretty well in attack and defense, which is pretty cool. When getting into his default kit, Jerome has Pole Axe Plus for his weapon, and he is currently the only character in the game to have it, so there's a chance you already sacked this guy for skill inheritance. The poor soul. It's effective against cavalry units and it can be refined as well, so that's good. Then he's got Rally Attack / Defense for the support skill, and as for the passives, he's got Fortress Defense 3 for the A slot, and Hit and Run for the B slot. Not too bad of a starter kit if I do say so myself, but he's kinda reaching with the Fortress Defense in my opinion. If you want Jerome, I mean good luck, because the only Tempest Trial unit to ever come back at the time of recording this video is Masked Marth, and spoiler alert, came back multiple times. But during a special event beginning on August 14, 2018, you'll have a chance to obtain all the Tempest Trials units in general, so make sure you do that. Unless you're watching this video after the fact, then damn, you should have had my notifications on. If you do have them, here are some builds you can go with, starting off with the most accessible on the far left, and more resources consumed to the more right you go. Keep this in mind because all other builds shown in this video are placed in that exact order. So while you're looking at those, let's talk about the ups and downs of Jerome, shall we? Beginning with the positives, he's an anti-cavalry unit right out of the box. I don't know if it's as much of a problem now as it was back in the day, as in a few months ago, but full horse emblem teams used to be a problem, which is probably why the game released characters with weapon effects that strictly counter them personally, so that's a huge plus. Next, for a free unit, his stats are pretty damn good. He's tied with the second highest base attack in the game at the time of recording this video, with beasts like Soleil, Lavabound's Hector, and Churche, or however you say her name. He also has pretty good defense, but his low speed makes him a pretty good Brave Axe Plus contender, since the -5 from the weapon won't be doing much to him. If we quickly switch gears to the negatives, his competition gets a little interesting. Now, while it wouldn't be fair to bring up IVs and merges in a top 5 Tempest Trials list since everyone in it is limited, there are some very accessible units that may have Jerome beat. The previously mentioned Churche is a good example. There's a high chance you already have multiple copies of her in your barracks, or she might even be your next summon. If you like the physical tank aspect of Jerome, then Baruka has him beat, and both of his units can steal his pole axe, which is, well, robbery, but you get the axe, so it's okay. But if you're not trying to spend 20,000 feathers, Jerome is a pretty good green flyer right out of the box and has stats you can't really complain about, which is why he's number 5 on this list.
If I was a little bit quicker, I might have more luck with the ladies.
Next up we've got, well, quite literally the thickest physical wall in the game, the strong and tough Arden. He released on October 23, 2017 as a reward in the Genealogy of Light event. If you look at his stats, it's a sight to see, let me tell you. When I said thickest physical wall in the game, I wasn't playing. He literally has the highest HP and defense stat in the entire game, at least as of now anyway, but it might be a while before anyone takes that spot, since any base HP above 60 on a character would be reaching. His attack stat is also pretty good, but his speed and resistance are very bad, which is to be expected. You can just look at Arden and tell he's not fast, the absolute damn unit he is, but it's cool because of his kit. Starting with his weapon, the Brave Sword Plus, which takes 5 away from your speed anyway, but allows you to attack twice when initiating combat. His special skill is Pavis, which is cool I guess, but it's his passives where things get really spicy. His B slot, the follow-up ring, allows Arden to make a guaranteed follow-up attack so long as his HP is above 50 before starting combat. That's pretty damn crazy, seeing as how if you use the Brave Sword, you're really gonna be out there hitting people 4 times. Then for his C slot, he's got Drive Defense too, so that's neat. Anyway, if you have them, here are some builds you can go with depending on your budget. As you take some time to look at those, let's talk about the good and bad with Arden. Starting with the good, damn that bulk. I'm telling you, if your enemy team chooses not to run any magic units, it's pretty much good game. Even a lance unit will have trouble taking him out without the help of a special skill, that's how serious it is. Imagine getting hit by a bonfire or Ignis from Arden, that might just crack your screen. Plus with the use of the follow-up ring, you could proc specials quite often. Imagine this guy on an armor emblem team with all those boosts as well as armor, march, or boots. You don't want to see Arden move 2 spaces, I'm telling you. Finally, you see how high his HP is? There is no better unit to use skills such as Panic Ploy 3 or Earth Boost 3. You only need at least 1 HP more than the foe to activate Panic Ploy, and he's got the highest HP in the game. That's something you can rely on heavily, but of course, there are some problems. As you know, his resistance and speed are very low. A lot of armor units rely on Wary Fighter 3 as the passive B slot to avoid getting doubled, but with Arden, follow-up ring is such a crucial part of his kit, so a lot of the times you wouldn't be running this skill. That being said, 8 out of 10 times, every time, he will be getting absolutely destroyed by these tome users. I would compare him to various other units in the game you could build instead, but truth be told, there really isn't any other character like Arden. All that being said, Strong and Tough is a perfect title for Arden, seeing as how he is a wall quite a few people have trouble getting past. So long as you don't have a tome user, of course, which is why he's number 4 on this top 5.
I say when it ends!
Following that, we have the second masked individual to appear on this list, the Enigmatic Blade Masked Marth, my apologies. It's in the damage dart, okay? You can't call it a spoiler anymore. She released on June 8th, 2017 in the first ever Tempest Trials event called Dark Cloud Over Awakening. I remember when people were complaining about Marth not getting an ult for the longest time, but he was the first unit to ever get one, but that's besides the point. If you take a look at her stats, you might notice something. She has the same neutral stats as Lucina. That's nice since there are many people such as myself that are yet to summon Lucina, so it's almost like you get one for free. She does pretty well in attack and speed, but the rest of her stats are whatever. If we take a look at her default kit, she's got the falchion for a weapon, and well, that's it. You have to give her every other skill if you want to use her, so good luck with that. Before I show you the skill set, if you want Lucina with the mask on, she'll be back. They brought her back so many times at this point, you might as well let us plus 10 her. But if you do manage to get her, here are some builds you can go with. Let's talk about the positives and negatives with this unit while you're looking at the builds. Starting with the positives, of course, it's a neutral IV Lucina. That's not a bad thing at all because being Lucina also gives you access to the falchion, including the refine. But wait, there's more. She was a Tempest Trial reward unit 4 different times, so if my math is correct, as long as you collected each and every single one, you can have her merge go all the way up to plus 7. That is very good, considering you would have to either spend a lot of money or have some good luck in order to get a summonable sword Lucina to plus 7. A lot of the times with limited units like Tempest Trials or Grand Hero battles, there's a lack of merges, but not with this one. Unfortunately, though, it's not all sweet. If we get into the negatives, let's start with the obvious. Outside of a weapon, Masked Lucina comes with nothing. You literally have to build her from the ground up, which can be a pain if you have limited resources to give around. Next, her defenses are not something to be proud of. At a base 19 resistance and 25 defense, you can count on most mage users to run circles around this poor soul. As for a comparable easy access unit, I guess you could say Marth, but he has a trade-off of some of his offensive capabilities for more defenses, while Masked Lucina drops some of the bulk for more offense. I rest my case though, it's basically a free Lucina, and that's not a bad thing, especially with all those dragons running around, which is why she is number 3 on this list.
Not as sweet as you think.
Next we have Devoted Love Eliwood. He released on February 14, 2018, Valentine's Day in the Breath of Destiny event. How sweet, but let's look at his stats. As you can see, he's got some pretty good HP, high attack, as well as being quite speedy for an Arden unit with some mixed bulk going on. If we check out his base kit, we've got the Casablanca Plus for the weapon, and that neutralizes bonuses from various skills during combat so long as they're using a ranged weapon. That's pretty cool, and he might get robbed for that weapon real fast, but moving on. His support skill is Rally Attack / Defense, and then his passives include Fire Boost 3 for the A slot, and Gold Armor for the C slot. All things considered, that's a pretty good start to say the least. I tell you what though, once you get him, here are some builds you can use as a reference regardless of budget. While you're checking that out, let's talk about the ups and downs. Starting with what's good, we've got to talk about his stat spread. It's pretty well balanced across the board. At a base value HP of 47 paired with his mixed bulk, you can rely on him to take a hit or two, but only 2 because he's not a pure wall. Plus his speed, while it may not seem too high at first, it'll allow you to avoid a lot of follow-up attacks. That being said, it can free up your B slot from having to use a skill like Wary Fighter like a lot of armor units do. If you run him on an armor emblem team, you may even be able to do some doubling yourself with the gold armor boost. As for the bad, well, nothing really, because he does fine in all the stats. Sure, he doesn't really excel in any specific defensive stat, but it's all good. That being said, Devoted Eliwood is just fine, which is why he is number 2 on this countdown. Before we get into the very obvious and not hard to predict at all unit in the number 1 spot, here are some honorable mentions. Literally the rest of the Tempest Trials characters, because they're free and they come at 5-star rarity, so no feathers have to be used. Now you can use each and every single one of them and they will work quite well. Plus, if anything, if you wanted to go the skill inheritance route, you can do that as well because a lot of them have very good skills to give up. That being said, let's find out who the best Tempest Trials unit is.
Know your place!
Well, you can't say you never seen this one coming. The number 1 spot goes to the Sinister General Black Knight. The first Tempest Trials unit to ever sell out. He was so good they actually put a real price on him, so that says a lot. He released on September 23rd, 2017 in the Moment of Fate event and then came back for 5 whole Canadian dollars in the shop as a part of the starter support pack. If you take a look at his stats, you can see that he has a good amount of health, good attack, surprisingly good speed as well as great defense. But you can just look at Black Knight and tell his resistance is going to be bad. At base 18 you should keep him away from mages and dragons. Although that is to be expected, since if they did give him good resistance then it wouldn't really be fair. If we check out his kit, you can see that he's got the Alondat as his weapon, which has distant counter built into it, so dagger and bow users are in trouble. Next, for his special skill, he's got Black Luna, which is arguably the best special skill in the game, since he attacks as if the enemy lost 80% of their defense and resistance stat. That is super powerful. He can even take out a lot of blue units with this skill despite the weapon triangle disadvantage. It's quite scary, but moving on to his passives, we've got Steady Stance 3 for the A slot and Wings of Mercy 3 for the B slot, so this guy can go anywhere if given the chance. If you want him, you can either catch him and all the other Tempest Trial units returning during the duration of August 14th to August 23rd, 2018, or you can spend actual money for the starter pack, which is completely up to you, but I wouldn't recommend it because you can't use the free-to-play hashtag anymore when showing off your barracks. Once you do get him, here are some builds you can go with depending on how much you're willing to feed this monster. I tell you what though, while you're viewing those builds, let's talk about why he's good and the one thing that he's bad at. Starting with the good, his weapon comes with distant counter built in. Black Knight is actually a pretty good contender for distant counter, but the fact that you can save your A slot while still countering bow or dagger units is pretty insane. Secondly, Black Luna is just ridiculous. I don't even think I have to explain this to you since you probably already know, but it's stupid good. Finally, he is quite the physical wall, while still being quite fast, which you can easily avoid doubling and in some cases might even give you the chance to attack twice. If we move on to the negatives, well, it's his resistance and that's basically it. I'm sure a lot of mages can easily shut him down and that sucks, but that's just life. I guess you can argue that Zelgius would be a better unit to use over Black Knight since, well, they're the same person but one isn't wearing a helmet. Now while this is true, it can cost you actual money to get Zelgius and you'd have to wait for some good IVs since a minus attack Zelgius won't do as well as a neutral Black Knight. But all in all, we all knew where this list was heading, so there's no need to explain why Black Knight is the best Tempest Trials unit in Fire Emblem Heroes. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already, since I upload videos like this quite often and I'd love for you to see them. If given the chance, make sure to check out my other videos as well, as I cover multiple video games. But before I go, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to my good friend Phoenix Master 1 for providing the builds shown in this video. I will link his channel in the description or click his icon on screen now to check out what he's got going on. Good luck in the giveaway everyone, and I will catch you guys later.